very common use for tools like Photoshop and Illustrator is just that, building application layouts, comps, which typically are then handed over to a developer who dissects them and chops them up and then rebuilds the application, and the designer wants to make a tweak and change it and repeat the entire process, and it's painful. What you really want is a way to simplify the entire workflow there.
So this is a very difficult problem, and Flash Catalyst solves this in a couple of different ways. First of all, as an interaction design tool, Flash Catalyst lets you take static artwork from tools like Photoshop, Illustrator, or Fireworks, then bring that static artwork into Flash Catalyst where you can add interactions without writing any code at all. On the other side, kind of the way we help solve the design develop workflow problem is that the project you're working on in Flash Catalyst is actually just a Flex project. So a Flex developer can take that exact same project, open it up in the next generation of Flex Builder, and start adding back-end logic or connectivity to it. And as you add those interactions in Flash Catalyst, you're actually generating well-formed Flex MXML code.
That's great. Okay, so can we see a demo?
Absolutely. So what we're going to show you today is an ecotourism expedition finder that we built inside of Photoshop. So now we're going to take this static Photoshop comp and turn it into a real application by bringing it into Flash Catalyst. Flash Catalyst integrates very, very tightly with the Creative Suite 4 tools. So what you're going to see is that Flash Catalyst will bring in the exact same folder and layer structure that we had in Photoshop, so the designer can work on the asset in the same way that they would work on it in Photoshop CS4.
And actually, this looks like something the designer would be very comfortable with.
Exactly. That's the same consistent UI as all the other Creative Suite tools.
Okay.
So unique about Flash Catalyst is we can turn any piece of freeform artwork into a component. So the components you create here are going to look very unique to any other component development kit that you've seen.
I'm here back on the map, and I want to add a control here that makes it so that the user can zoom in on the map. And I have the artwork for that over here in Adobe Illustrator CS4. So you can see if we look in the Layers panel in Illustrator here, that we just have vector artwork, gradient, standard vector artwork, nothing special in there.
So now there's a pretty complex process to import that into Flash Catalyst.
It's actually very easy.
Okay.
All I have to do is say copy, switch into Flash Catalyst, and say paste. And now we're importing that content into Flash Catalyst.
Impressive.
That looks pretty good. Now I'm going to do one more thing, which I think is going to be a little bit more interesting interaction. I'm going to switch back to this main state, and I have this little featured tour widget here. I want to turn that into an interactive widget where the user clicks on this arrow to see a little mini-map. So I'm going to select the artwork for that here. And I also have some hidden artwork right now for the map that's going to be on the other side here. So let me select that. It's actually behind that other artwork. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this content and I'm going to convert it into a custom component. Now, up until now, what we've been seeing are components like buttons and scroll bars, these built-in components that have their own built-in behavior. But you can also create a custom component that has just the behavior that you want, so it's fully custom. So I'm going to double-click into that, and I'm going to start off by just showing this textual content here. And now I'm going to duplicate the state. So just like we had pages in the main application that said where the user could go in the application as they interact with it, individual components have states that say how the component looks as the user interacts with the component. So I'm going to go ahead and rename these so they're a little easier to keep track of. And then in the second state here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off this text content and turn on the map content here. So if I click back and forth, you can see that I have my states set up. And now again, if we look down in the timelines panel, you can see that we've automatically created this default sort of simple crossfade effect. But I want something a little more interesting. What we can actually do is we can take advantage of the new 3D effects that are in the Flash Player 10. So I can just add a 3D rotation effect very easily. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to add a 3D rotation to the front content here. And then I'm going to add another one to the back here. And then using the timeline here, it's this very simplified timeline model where I can just slide the effects around and resize them to make sure that they get sequenced and play exactly the same way that I want. And so I can just slide these fades around, slide the rotate, and now I have a 3D flipping widget.